Call this meeting to order at 5:30 p.m., August 4th, 2026. Ask Will Anderson to come up.
We all stand. Let's pray together. Father, we thank you tonight for a wonderful opportunity to come together over our great city, for all of these great people, the decisions that will be made tonight. Your word says that you've created us for your glory. So I pray tonight in the name of Jesus that every decision, every line item, God, that you would be pleased tonight. That your spirit will be in this room with us, and that all that we do in this room tonight would be to serve one purpose, to bring you glory tonight. That you would be pleased with all that happens in here tonight, Lord. And we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for every soul that's in here tonight. We pray it all in the wonderful name of Jesus Christ. And everyone said amen.
Amen.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moved up the floor.
Yeah, we have one speaker, Jerry Trammell.
I'm here, yes, I know, you don't have to listen to me, you never have.
Charles, could we get you to come up here, please? Thank you.
Sure. Podiums don't scare me. I'm here tonight representing the Bethel Baptist Church. And what they're asking is that the commission issue a proclamation in recognition of their church turning 100 years in September. And just like y'all's consideration on that. That's it.
And that's the only speakers we have for the open forums in there.
Okay, staff report.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start with our employee of the month and Malcolm Buffkin, if you would come down here, please. You're the next contestant. I'm really happy to acknowledge.
You need help holding that
Need an extra hand, Malcolm?
I'm really happy to acknowledge Malcolm Buffkin as our employee of the month. He exemplifies our Breck values, and more than that, one of the things about Malcolm, and everybody probably knows him well here in town, if he is not giving you a hard time about something, he doesn't like you. He is our resident, give us all a hard time, but we are so happy to have him on our team. But really, truly, about his leadership, he is a true team leader for the fire department. He really involves Christy, and of course, is the assistant fire chief, Wes Turner, in all the decision making. You know, when you think about succession planning, he is the epitome of that. He's planning for that succession and bringing those people up and involving them in the day-to-day operation. So Malcolm, we appreciate you and we're glad you're here. And even if you have this going on and you came in, he's been, you know, he's had a procedure. So we appreciate it tonight. Thank you.
Speech.
Speech. The other thing, and I won't go over all of this in detail. This is a new page on our website with our capital projects that detail the timelines and what capital projects are going on. One of a few things I did want to say on most of these are TWB projects with the water line replacement that's going on. When they are replacing a water line like they were doing on Elm Street, they're done with Elm Street now, but when they were doing that and now they're on Williams, they will have to turn off water in sections as we go, and that does require boil water. So, many, I mean, we do have many boil water notices, but many of the ones that we've had in the last several months have been in relation to installing new water lines. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. We also have our wastewater treatment plant projects underway, both at the wastewater treatment plant with the installation of aerators, and also our lift stations. That project will be underway soon as well. The notice to proceed, we just had our first construction kickoff meeting. Still has to go review. I mean, we start here, it goes to the engineers, it goes to TWDB to get approved, and then comes back up. But that is pretty much all the projects except for the water treatment plant are underway right now. And then on the water lines, as a reminder, our street projects, we're in phase 3. Once Elm Street is done, the water line, so that will be paid. This first part is going to be paid from dollars from the downtown revitalization grant that we got, but then the rest of Elm Street will be done through our street improvement plan phase 3, and then same with William Street. Once the water line is done there, that will be paid, and then we've got East Wheeler that will be the one water line and then paving. So just wanted to give you that quick update on the projects. And then the city secretary has the upcoming.
For upcoming events, Monday, we have another Citizens Academy. We're almost through with the second session of that, so it's been awesome. On the 20th, boat pickup, third Thursday of every month, where residents can put 3 large items on the street. And Republic Services will come by and pick that up. They just have to sign up, and you can do it via the web or just calling up City Hall. We just called them by the Friday before. And we will be setting, as one of the agenda items that you have on your agenda today, is to set the public hearing on the tax rate. That would be scheduled for August the 25th. And then something that is not on here that may brush pickup will begin again in quadrant sections beginning in September. So in September, that will start. So we'll start putting updates back up again for residents in quadrants 1, I believe. That's starting again. We're starting back at 8. Yeah.
Okay, move on to consent agenda. Any commissioner may request an item on the consent agenda to be taken up for individual consideration. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve consent agenda items 3 through 5 as presented.
A second. All in favor? Okay, we move on to the public hearing. Open public hearing at 5:38 p.m. And just so that everybody knows that during this public hearing, it's only discussion. There's no responses under these items. Number 6, consent or conduct a public hearing regarding amending table 12, light industrial manufacturing uses, section 7.e, use tables of chapter 22 zoning of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances to add wind turbine recycling facility, permissible use in property zoned industrial I district.
And there was no one signed to speak for that item.
So we'll go on to 7.
Okay, number 7, conduct a public hearing regarding amending table 2, residential uses, section 7.e, use tables of chapter 22 zoning of Breckenridge Code of Ordinances to allow manufactured homes in certain single family residential zoning districts with a conditional use permit.
There was no one to speak on that item.
8, conduct a public hearing regarding a request for a conditional use permit for a manufactured home on property known as 309 Dallas Zone as single family residential SF 7.5. If the amendment to the zoning ordinance amending table 2 residential uses, section 7.e use table chapter 22 zoning is approved.
We do have one speaker for that item, Will Thompson.
Good evening. We're requesting y'all to, I guess, pass item 7 and 8, but I'm here just talking about 8. Yeah, picture of the. Might help me out a little bit. This piece of property sits between Rose and Dallas Street. It's, on 5 acres by itself. Where the home will actually sit is, the next closest property is 300 feet away. And there's a tree line that will be blocking it as well. Entryway from Dallas Street, so there's not gonna be traffic impedance. The utilities are already there. You have to pay for a meter, take a water meter and tying in the sewer, but the lines are there. Seems like a simple deal to me, and there's, when you get to the agenda item, Cynthia will go over several things that we needed to meet to make that acceptable under the zoning rules, and I think we've met all those in this particular situation. But when the agenda item comes up, you'll see some pictures and items that makes, I explain more. Yeah, it's all there. Way down. But if y'all have more questions, maybe they'll let me talk to you about. Thank you.
9, conduct a public hearing regarding amending chapter 22, zoning the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances by amending table 8, general business retail uses to add vape shops as a use which is prohibited in all zoning districts, and amending section 30, definitions to establish a definition for vape shop.
There was no speakers for that.
10, conduct a public hearing regarding whether the buildings on the following properties are dangerous buildings pursuant to chapter 5, article 1 of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances. 411 West Wheeler,
There are no speakers for that.
310 North View,
We do have one speaker, Charity Sobel. And we'll
So that is when you look at the photos, it's horrible. I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all. It's horrible. My grandfather gave it to me a couple months ago. He did not tell me that was the property, and I didn't really look into it. But he says that he's already tore down the back half, and then there was also like 2 bedrooms and a bathroom on the side. He tore those down, and he's already started building like the base for the back to rebuild all of it. He says it can be done. This is up to the old people. So he didn't do anything. So that's kind of it. Really, I don't know what else to say about it.
1101 North Harvey,
there are no speakers for that.
909 North Smith,
Mr. Reed, is that the one?
That's me.
You had 911 on there.
Well, that's my address right next to it on the same lot. Just want to let you know, I am making progress on dealing with this pile of rubble. It's not a structure anymore to speak of. There are no utilities attached to it. It's not likely to catch fire. I have enough cats in the neighborhood. There's not a vermin infestation. But, as you can see, I have a full-time job. I'm sole caregiver for a disabled wife at home, so my time is kind of limited, but I am making progress on dealing with this. Guess that's about all I have to say.
thank you. 601 East Gaddis,
There are no speakers for that item.
803 West Home,
There are no speakers.
301 North View,
There are no speakers for that item.
1100 East Walton.
There are no speakers for that.
Go ahead and close this public hearing at 5:44 p.m. Action items. Discussion and any necessary action regarding approval of new gen rate study recommendation for water waste rate increase.
Mayor and commissioners, as you know, New Gen did our wastewater rate study about 5 years ago. And we had them under contract to do the rate study again. 5 years later, and, we've got Chris Eckert here, and he's gonna go through the presentation. We appreciate you being here, Chris.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the commission, Chris Eckert with New Gen Strategies and Solutions. Pleasure to be with you tonight. I do know you have a packed agenda, so I will try and keep this brief. I do want to introduce Nick Alhala, who's with me as well. He's the primary analyst on this job. So pleased to have him here to see how this process concludes tonight. As we move forward in the presentation, I will note in the bottom right-hand corner of the handouts, there should be numbers. I'll try and keep up with you as we go through, but moving on into slide 2, as we talk about the water and wastewater utility this evening, I do want to remind you that the utility is tracked in what's called a proprietary or enterprise fund. Why is that important? Ultimately, that fund type is preserved for a business type activity of government. So while we are providing service to our citizens, we are also effectively running a business. For a business to be successful, we have to make sure that our revenue stream is sufficient to cover our expenses. We call that revenue sufficiency. Second thing we have to do in the water business, we literally have to plan for a rainy day. It will rain again at some point. When it does, our customers use less water while our expenses continue. They are a fixed cost intensive business. Generally, when you're talking water utilities, it can be 70 to 90% of your cost is fixed. And so we price on a volumetric basis, or at least a portion of our service. So we do have to maintain adequate reserves in the bank. This is also important to deal with contingency issues that arise when we have infrastructure that may go out of service. The third thing we have to do when we're talking about our water and wastewater utilities and thinking about rates, we have to think about reinvestment. We have pipes, plants, pumps, all of these things that break down over time. We have to reinvest in our business. And that's really why I'm here this evening, is to talk about that capital reinvestment and make sure that you as council are informed as to actions you can take going forward to ensure the financial stability of the utility. So with that, moving on to slide 3, just kind of a recap of where we've been. Again, as Cynthia mentioned, we were engaged back in 2021 to develop an initial financial plan for the water and wastewater utility. Some of the things that you've heard about tonight were part of that study. We talked about the wastewater treatment plant improvements. We've talked about the lift station improvements, all of that capital reinvestment. That was the focus of that study. If you're thinking about this in terms of triage, that was the intent of that study, was how do we get ourselves in a solid financial position so that we can make the improvements that are needed. You'll see some of the other items that were addressed in that study as we look at replacing water meters, as we look at ensuring that we are adequately compensating our staff and competing for staff in the local area. As we come into this study, we are in a good, solid financial position. The goal of this study is to maintain that financial position going forward. Your cost will continue to go up. There's just no way around it. There is investment needed in the system. There is no way around that going forward. And so what we've tried to structure for you are some options to consider going forward to how we maintain that financial position. So moving on slide 4, what you're going to see is just a really graphical representation of where we see your costs going long term. What this takes into account is inflation, capital investment, all of the items needed as we go forward to run our utility. Our scale is a little bit off between what I provided you and what's on the screen right now, but if we can focus on the handouts you have, looking at that bar, that's the expense bar. That line, that is your projected revenue under current rates. Anytime that bar goes above that line, we're in a revenue insufficient position. So that's something to note going forward. On slide 5, what we look at here on slide 5 is we look at those days of operating expenses. You have, by prior council action, looking at policies, we want to maintain 180 days of cash on hand. That is basic reserve that we want to maintain. You see, you're in a very solid position right now. I applaud this council. I applaud the decisions that you've made to put yourself in that solid financial position. Our concern is if we don't continue to take measured action going forward, yet we incur those costs, we would quickly drain those reserves. And so again, this also points us to how should we act going forward. On slide 6, the last thing we look at here is debt service coverage. What debt service coverage is basically an assessment of, can we pay our debt? We have made promises to bondholders that we will repay that debt. So this is a ratio to say, after we pay our O&M expenses, can we also pay our debt with sufficient margin? Here, your bondholders require you, the Texas Water Development Board requires you to maintain a 1.1 times debt service coverage. What you see here is in 2028, we're actually projected to fall slightly below that metric. So again, if we don't meet debt service coverage, Water Development Board can come in and force us to restore financial performance to that level. We don't want that to happen. We want to maintain a solid credit position. So in the event we have to access the debt markets in the future, we are able to come in and do that and maintain our system, continue to provide continuous and adequate service to our customers. So what we put together for you on slide 7 is really a consideration of 3 options going forward. Triaging this, the highest option, scenario 1, the lowest option, scenario 3. Scenario 3 is the minimum option you need to maintain your financial policies that this council has adopted. What that would represent is about a 4.14% increase in rates annually going forward through the course of this study. The higher option, scenario 1, what that represents is building to 365 days cash on hand, even after you've made all that reinvestment. Why did we use 365 days cash on hand? That number comes from the debt rating agencies, and specifically Fitch. So when you go to the debt markets, you receive a debt rating. The higher the debt rating, the lower your long-term cost of borrowing. The lower the long-term cost of borrowing, the lower your long-term cost of providing service to customers. So it is our recommendation that you consider scenario 1, but we recognize that we need to be cognizant of the impact we're having on our customers. And I'm going to show you some of those customer impacts in just a moment. But again, scenario 3, that is our opinion of the minimum action needed to maintain your financial policy.
Question real quick.
Yes, sir.
This 3.831 million number, is that at the end
That's at
of
the end of 10 years. That is the
Okay.
end of forecast. Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. Good question.
counting debt service?
That's counting the debt service, that's counting the capital reinvestment, that is counting long-term inflation into those numbers. That is taking into account everything.
So this is just a speculative number, basically, because you obviously can't figure into inflation or anything like that. This is just your best guess.
So it's an educated answer. I would be careful with the word speculative. Again, we are forecasting into the future. So it is based on what we know today. I will say that there may be a time when your rate increases have to be higher than what we show here in the event we have a significant infrastructure failure or if costs change more than what we're anticipating.
Right.
Okay. Looking at slide 8, what we're looking at here is that estimated bill impact under scenario 1. This is that 4.8% increase. What we're looking at here is a 2,000 gallon customer. A 2,000 gallon customer is generally a single individual living in a home by themselves. Potentially, this is somebody on a fixed income. We look at this level because this can often represent our senior citizens or those on fixed income. Right now, that 2,000 gallon water and wastewater bill, $96.69 per month. Under the scenario 1 increase, that would increase to by $4.67 a month to $101.36. Again, that's the high side. Going on to our next slide here, we look at that 5,000 gallon bill. The reason we use 5,000 gallon bill, that represents our average residential customer. Over the course of a year, they may be slightly lower in the winter, slightly higher in the summer, but monthly average over the course of the year, 5,000 gallons here. That bill right now is $118.56. Under scenario 1, that would go to $124.28. So that's about a $5.72 increase. Again, that is the highest scenario that we put together. You will note this does continue year after year after year. Obviously, as we're looking at rates, we look at rates every year associated with our budget. There may be times that we have to adjust, but your costs will continue to increase going forward. So we have baked that into our numbers for you this evening.
A question, so that is dealing with the infrastructure that we actually have right now and everything that goes entailed for our infrastructure, the water and wastewater infrastructure.
So this is O and M expenses, this is wholesale expense, this is your existing debt service, this is projected capital, projected going forward as well. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
As we look at scenario two, that same 2,000 gallon impact here, again, 96.69, increasing by $4.33 going into 2027. On our next slide, we have that 5,000 gallon customer. That 5,000 gallon customer increasing $5.32. And I do have a comparison of all three of these scenarios here at the end of the presentation. So that will be coming through. On slide 12, scenario 3, this is the lowest scenario to us, based on what we know today. This is the lowest action we can take. Again, $4 a month would be the increase for that 2,000 gallon customer in 2027. That 5,000 gallon customer on slide 13, here it's $4.90. On slide 14, again, we tried to compare these together. I want to focus on the left-hand side. Here, we're looking at that 2,000 gallon customer. The highest increase we had for the 2,000 gallon customer was $4.67 under scenario 1. Scenario 3, the low end was $4. Now, there's not a big difference there in 2027. What you see on the right-hand side, that's the 2036 number. And that's where this does become stark as you look at those increases going forward. But again, putting you in the best financial position relative to your credit rating, we're recommending scenario 1. The minimum to meet your financial requirements, we're recommending scenario 3. On slide 15, what we have here is that 5,000 gallon customer. Again, the low scenario, scenario 3 for 2027, $4.90. The high scenario, scenario 1, $5.72. But on slide 16, let me stop here. Every commission I'm in front of, every council or board I speak to wants to know, how do we look compared to everybody else? And I use the same language every time I present this. You have to be careful when you look at presentations like this, because every community is different. Communities have different water supplies. They have different wastewater treatment options. They're at different places in their growth and capital plans. And so with that, there's any number of reasons this chart looks the way it does. So be careful. We have to do what's right for our community. We don't base our action based on what other communities are doing. But right now, the 2,000 gallon customer, as I said before, $96.69. The blue bar is your water bill. The green bar is your sewer bill right now. Going to the highest point here, scenario 1, 101.36. The lowest point, scenario 3, 169. And again, we're not sure why our charts are not showing up right on the screen, but we will make sure we get a solid PDF of that you can put on your website. On page 17, this is that same comparison, that 5,000 gallon bill here. Currently 118.56, that's the current bill, and you see you really don't move within this comparison. One thing I would note though is as you look at these future bills, I'm projecting your future 2027 bill compared to everybody else's bill today. Communities all over the state are going through this same exact exercise right now. As they go in to adopt their budgets for next year, they are looking at what rate action is needed to maintain the financial position of their utilities. So again, I'm showing your 2027 bill against everybody else's bill today. If we rerun this in October or January, it will look different. So please keep that in mind. Final comparison I have for you tonight is on slide 18. This is the commercial bill. Your average commercial customer, 13,000 gallons. Right now, that bill is $251.78. In the event we went with the highest option, scenario 1, that bill would go to $263.90. The lowest option, $262.19. Again, there are providers that are higher than you on this list. So with that, I know I've thrown a lot of numbers at you this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions. It is our recommendation that as you go into adopting your budget for this next year, which will be effective October 26th, that you identify an option and take action on rates going forward. Again, you've done a great job managing your utility up to this point. It is our hope that by taking measured rate action every year going forward, you will maintain that financial position, which again, will maintain the viability of your business, allow you to continue to reinvest in that infrastructure. What questions can I answer for you this evening?
So I started on this commission back in, I guess, right after this original rate study began. Were you part of that first one?
Yes, sir.
Was that a 5-year plan or?
That was a 5-year plan. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make sure why this one's 10 versus 5.
We went ahead and ran this one out a bit longer, because again, you're now past that initial response stage. I would recommend that you come in and revisit any plan at the 5-year mark, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We are using our knowledge of past practice to come in and project going forward. But as we've seen recently, inflation has been running a little hotter than maybe what we anticipate on a long-term basis. So again, I think it's important to revisit about every 5 years.
What about every year?
I do have some communities I work with every year. I've got I'd say about 14 communities that I do this with every year going through the budget process. This is just part of their standard process. You are fortunate that you are in a position that the action that the council previously took, and some of those increases, which I understand were on the higher end, you have put yourself in a good financial position. With that said, I don't know that you need our services every year, but if you do, we're happy to help. So it's one, I would just carefully monitor your financial performance, and if you start to see things dip, it would be good to revisit at that time.
Currently, is the water and wastewater, are they earning income as they are right now? So
What do you mean earning income?
the funds, are they going up even currently right now?
I don't
Well,
know.
the increases, what I would tell you is the increases, they were substantial. So 5 years ago, I wasn't here when the council took action. But the rate increases, like for the first year, I want to say it was like 19, and then it was 17, and then it went down to 5, and like the last one was only like $1 or something. So when right now, I mean, those were the increases.
What I'm saying is that right now, at the end of this year, will there be an income into the water and wastewater funds? Will we be above what we started last year?
So I think the issue this year is with rainfall. And we, at least a couple of months ago, we were still behind. Going into 2027, we are projecting you will be cash flow insufficient into the fund at that point. And so in 27.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, yeah, if that's your question, I mean, this year, because we do base our budget on projections. They are educated projections, because we look at what has gone before and we're looking ahead. However, this year it was a wet year, and so we have not been selling as much water. This year, we have had more expenses than we expected, so we have less revenue and more expenses. So I will say every year, yes, we've been gaining, and that's why we have just about 2 million in each fund, in our fund balance for water fund and wastewater.
When you spoke of that previously, that's the buffer you were attempting to build.
Yes. But one of the things I just want to, a couple of things to consider, we've talked about them, but we have aging infrastructure. Everybody knows that. We have an oversized infrastructure. Our infrastructure is just not in good condition. So for instance, I mean, right now, and I'm just pointing to one thing, even though we have a lot of projects on board, they're not addressing everything. So we have at our water treatment plant, we have 2 clarifiers, and both clarifiers are limping along. And we've been investing money in them, but to replace just one clarifier is $1 million. So if they both went down, we would have just enough to replace both clarifiers, and our fund balance would be wiped out. I mean, that's how fast it can go. Another thing, and I'll talk about this in budget, but I mean, these are just the increases of CPI that's happening every year. Our water, our collections and distribution, gravel and dirt has gone up 40% because of the data center. 40%. And so that is a staple supply that we have in our water wastewater fund. every day for water and sewer line repairs.
So the years that you've been here, you actually have been putting in, as in making this safe, so in case something does happen, we do have the refund, the resources to fix those things.
Yes, because of the decision that the commission
Right,
made,
right.
5 years ago, we are in a better financial position than we've ever been.
Right.
Not only that, but it also provided, as he alluded to, it provided us resources to be able to, we have a new Vector truck. We're getting a new Vector trailer. I mean, those are big purchases.
Yeah.
I told you, we are gonna be using fund balance to use to buy a dump truck. So we're getting that information together and bringing to you guys. So there's been some capital purchases as well. Needed
Right.
capital. We've bought backhoes. Yeah, two backhoes that we bought. One was for tree.
One thing I think we need to think about is, we're always gonna have debt, always.
Right.
We, is the professional that is recommending a 1.1 debt ratio. Like you said, well,
So if I can clarify,
Go ahead, yeah.
that is required by the Texas Water Development
Okay.
Board. So if you want to maintain access to low interest loans and to fund
Yeah,
through the
keep
Water
that
Development Board,
1.1.
you have got to maintain that level
Okay.
of ratio. Ideally, we would love to improve that over time.
Right.
Some of the debt rating agencies right now want to see 1.5, 1.75. I've actually seen some recommend 2 or higher. I think that's a little aggressive overall, because we do have to realize that as we hit these metrics, we're having an impact on customers. So again, we structured this plan to stick with that 1.1 and maintain that.
So it's safe to say that we're on an uptrend in due to our infrastructure that's not the best, but we're on an uptrend as in fixing those things, having money just in case anything does happen, and then moving on and addressing those issues. And so your recommendation is helping us keep on that uptrend.
Yes, sir. You are in much better position than when I was here in 2021. I would say that, as you're talking about rolling stock.
Yeah.
I believe you had as a community the distinction of having the oldest piece of rolling stock that was still working
Yeah.
when I was here with you in 2021. You keep your things a long time and you keep them running, but what you've been able to do is invest in that system. And you've now put yourself in a position where you can basically take smaller annual rate action. You don't have to have those big jumps.
Right.
Because that's what we want to avoid. We want to practice what we call rate gradualism. We want to avoid rate shock.
Yeah.
Which this allows you to do that, but still maintain where you are and continue to make gains going forward.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Last meeting, we approved, grant, correct?
Well, application for a grant, 100% funded,
What was that grant for?
water,
It was for water line?
water. It's just the application. So yes, I mean, to your question and, Commissioner Huntington, to your question, I mean, we've got TWD big projects.
Right.
We've got the rural water loss assistance fund, at 5.7 million, 4 million, which was grant, and then 1.7 million is a low interest rate loan. And then we applied for, in the WSIG TWDB project, we applied for 10 million. And that would be 100% funded, which is great, meaning that's.
Yeah, $10 million. Yeah. I mean, because we're dealing with a system that's very, very brittle. You shut off one valve and you have some spread out somewhere down the line. And then we're now marking those very, where those lines, all of our lines are, we're going in and we're finding out where our lines are lying, what lines that we have not known that it was there. So I believe that, the recommendation is, yeah.
When your description of the system is brittle, is apt.
Yeah.
And again, that's why we talk about reinvestment, because utilities are out of sight, out of mind. We don't think about them until the water stops flowing or the wastewater stops, going out of our home. So That's why we do have to think of it as a business and reinvest in our infrastructure.
And we have had to deal with that when the water stops in our community, so.
Sir. But I will say, you're not unique as a community in this. This is an industry-wide problem. Where we've installed systems and then we've just not done anything with them for years and years and years. And now we are the recipient of that and we have to address those problems. So, please don't, I don't want to come across as critical because again, you are not unique as a community being in the situation you're in. One thing that is unique is you have taken hard action, which has put you in a good position going forward.
I'm not for a 10-year plan with a compounding 4% cost. I personally would like to see this revisited every year and put it to a vote, because I may not be on the commission one year. I completely agree with what you're saying, absolutely. With our infrastructure, like Commissioner Huntington said, it's brutal. I've personally witnessed this for 15 years. But I think the compounding part of the 4%, that might be a little steep. We are a single community in a very large county, and money doesn't go as far as I understand. So, is it possible? I guess that would be a question that we could table this and see if we can move this to a 1-year plan instead of a 10-year.
Well, I wouldn't recommend tabling it. I mean, you can take any action tonight, but when you say, I mean, it's a 10-year plan, you still, it's a recommendation for 10 years to take action and raise the rates. You still have to approve that every year. So that's what you're asking.
That's right.
We can do that, and we actually do with our schedule of fee. So we put it in our schedule of fee and it has to be approved. So we can revisit this at the budget and say, this is what we're proposing. And make sure that the commission is on board with that, and then move forward that
Take an
way.
action and we'll revisit it at the budget.
But it's gonna be revisited at the budget regardless.
Yes, every year we're already doing
The
that.
10-year plan, it's revisited no matter what.
Right.
And
So
again,
what you're suggesting of us revisiting, what you're saying is, we already are revisiting it every year. Of dealing with the wastewater and water management and what we're doing with that. And so we do visit it every year. We do check on it every year. So when that does happen, as in, we set a rate for 10 years, but every year in those 10
Yeah,
years.
we're not locked in, it's a
Right.
suggestion.
Right.
Suggestion alert.
Okay.
And like he said, we have scenario 1 and we have scenario 2 and we have scenario 3. And whichever one that we adopt into our or enforce at this time, we have to think about whether it's going to benefit our community.
So this is just a suggested 4.1%.
4.1% is our projection of what will be needed every year to meet your minimum financial requirements. Yeah, to your point about revisiting annually, I strongly recommend that you look at this with the budget every year. At least internally, because there may be times when you have capital needs in that year that are higher than what we projected here. We don't know what's gonna fail in 4 years, in 6 years, in 10 years. So again, this is based on what we know today. So revisiting annually makes a lot of sense as you look at what is needed in each year.
So it's recommended is what you're saying,
Yes.
4.1%, 4.4, or 4.8. But revisiting it every year potentially could go higher or lower depending on our needs.
Depending on your needs, yes, sir.
Okay.
Just an output.
Yeah. I was just making sure it wasn't set in stone. Yeah.
No.
No, you can do that situation.
It's like 50 some cost, but it's just looking here.
I have a motion.
What are we thinking?
I'm thinking,
Sounds great.
yeah, do 3 for now.
Mhm.
And then as we revisit it again, in the following years, we'll determine.
Junior?
I'll go 3.
I think we come back and we revisit this in another year because this council may change and I don't want to lock anything permanent. And that's expected, revisit every.
I agree too. I think it needs to be brought up every year because, you know, where we started, and what we have in the bank account, I mean, we've had grown a bunch. And then now we're adding more to somebody's water bill. And we got 40% of our customers that can't pay the water bill right now. And now you're just adding $5 more, and we just added for trash, we just added. And so, I mean, we just give them more in debt, you know?
Yeah.
If what was already raised,
And that was
give money into the account.
And that was my question for Ms. Northrop is, if we're still able to put money into that account, then I don't see a need to raise it too high.
Well, and yes, I would agree. And one of the things that I would say, I mean, if we look at staff, we're evaluating this every year. And so of course, we're gonna bring it back every year, because every year is different. But if you guys can, if we did this year, one of the things that we're looking at, I mean, next year that I would be recommending is looking at our debt and paying off, and 2012, we have basically about 550,000. So we could pay that off. Again, you still want to maintain a 4 to 6 month operation in your fund balance for each fund. But we would have that opportunity at that point, I think, to start paying down some of that debt. But you still want to maintain that fund at a level, because as I said, if a clarifier does go down, I mean, that's $1 million. We are required, TCEQ will require us to make that expenditure. I mean, we have to do it. So, and if we didn't have it, I mean, when I got here, I want to say the fund balance was 400,000. And now, I mean, thank God, we're getting grants and we're in a position where we are investing more money in system improvement in the budget itself, and then having this in case something catastrophic does happen.
And that was my question on the grant from last meeting too, and I believe it was at $10 million in full infrastructure. So if we can get some of these lines replaced like that are necessary, as Mr. Huntington said, but for real, this may be one of those times in the next few years, we may be able to lower that percentage increase.
Sure. Well, yeah, absolutely. And if we can't, yeah, I mean, we will analyze that every year.
But with the fund balance of where it is, we are in somewhat of a good space of just in case we do go out without water like we did, you know, and we had the funding to actually fix those things.
Correct.
Whatever messes up in that. So I agree with going and revisiting every year, which we already do. But I think is to have it in mind for anything of a rainy day, if you want to call it a rainy day. You know, because like you said, we might not be on the commissioner board at that time, but we're setting up future commissioners to not be in a rock or hard place.
Correct. I move to approve option 3 of the new generate study for the water and wastewater rate increase effective October 1, 2026.
Second. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Number 12, discussion and any necessary action regarding whether the buildings on the lake properties are dangerous buildings pursuant to Chapter 5, Article 1 of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances, and if so, discussion and any necessary action regarding issuing orders to abate the dangerous buildings or accepting conveyance of properties from owners. 411 West Wheeler.
We'll start with 411 North Wheeler.
Sorry about that. So I just did want to remind you guys, I put a piece of paper at each of your places for what the procedure is when we declare a substandard building. And this is pursuant to Chapter 5, Article 1. And you can see that, I mean, and I just shortened this down from our ordinance. Basically, it's inspection, staff determination, notice of abatement, request for a public hearing. And then that action has been staff action that has taken place on all these homes. And now we are at number 5, enforcement of the city commission. So the list that you have here, A through D, is not exhaustive, but these are the options, potential options you can take on these buildings that we have before you tonight. Staff is recommending demolition on all of them that are brought before you tonight. All of these buildings are vacant, so I just did want to let you know that. No one's living in these buildings, so they've been vacant and they've been non-livable for quite some time.
It's much better for the city and the owner if they deed it over to us first, correct?
We work with them if we can get them to do that, because then we can demo it. We have an interlocal with the county and we can demo it and then dispose of it in our monofill, which is right here. If not, we will have to budget. We've budgeted just a few, but we'll have to budget to haul it.
And every owner is well aware that it is in their benefit to deed it over to the city.
We work that really hard. And I will say Christie does a good job. Malcolm, Christie, Jay, that's the team there. They do a good job trying to get that.
This particular owner, we didn't hear from at all, so.
Right. You have in your background information, you have, I mean, the enforcement history and then the dates that we sent out, the notices. And all of these are sent out, certified, and then they're also posted on each.
Yes. So when it comes to 411 West Wheeler, no communication. Didn't they do that to their daughter or something?
Well, that's who the letter was
That's
sent.
who the letter and everything was sent
To the
to.
daughter, to the current owner.
Current owner.
Nothing, no response,
No
nothing,
response.
no response to the certified mail or anything like that.
No.
So it's just a property sitting there.
It used to have a donkey living in it.
Yeah. What?
It used to have a donkey living in it.
Yeah.
Or
It's really.
It had a dog pinned up in it this year.
It's like you. Monkey.
No, they're getting, I just walk by that place all the time.
So has a donkey responded? No, just ask. Okay, no, all right. Okay. I move to declare 411 West Wheeler a dangerous building, order that the owner demolish and remove the building within 30 days. I second it. All in favor? 310 Westview.
You see a picture there and she'll scroll through some of the pictures. Again, we've emailed, the owner applied for a building permit in 24, but never started the construction. And again, June 26th, another building letter was sent, dangerous building letter was sent. And 7/14 with a notice of hearing.
And that was the one that was given to the granddaughter.
Yeah, this is the one she was here and spoke. She was here.
Yes.
Well, they made a comment that they had been working on repairs and foundation. How long ago was that?
Well, they never brought their permit application back to do anything.
That was in
So
24
and June this year.
We give them building
And-
permit if they do it, it's 6 months, and if they don't get anything done, we're kind of getting off of that. Cause they'll let it go for years, so we're working on it, but that's what you see.
So how long does it look like that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Ish.
at least
10,
22, 20,
Yeah.
20 probably, if not longer.
Okay. So like the work that she's saying that there has taken place.
No, I
Technically
don't think
has not.
work took place. Did she?
She did say that.
Yeah.
They tried to permit.
That was 2 weeks ago.
So,
Okay.
but I don't
It's
think
more or
there's
less
been.
demo work.
They just tore some of what boards off.
More or less demo work from what I understand.
That's not there, they just tore some boards
Well,
off there.
one at a time, and could you guys come up on the front row and?
Yeah, I'll stand back here, I'm not.
Stand back here. Your arm hurting you today.
Well, if there's
Malcolm's been here
questions,
longer than I have, working on some of these buildings, so his knowledge is gonna help, but from what I'm understanding is, it was just they tore off like this, be the south side of the, actually north, excuse me, north side of the building, and it's sat there for the time I've been here. It's looked this way.
How long ago was that?
Started in almost 2 years ago now, a little over a year and a half.
And have they applied for that permit, like to,
They asked for one, but they have not brought a permit back in telling us exactly what they wanna do with it or anything else.
Back in 24.
And in 24 they got one and never,
nothing?
nothing.
Well, I did email Mr. Stovall, one of the owner,
Yeah.
in June, and he never brought in an application. I emailed him an
The
application.
young lady that was here, was any of these notices sent to her or were they sent to the previous one?
Sent to the owner on the Stevens County cat that's listed as.
That's what I heard, right?
The owner, yes.
We didn't give her information just now, did we? To see what her intent was with it.
So technically, does she own the property?
No.
Or grandfather owns the property, so it relies on the grandfather.
Yeah, but she actually came up here to speak to us. I mean, I've not even been
Right.
down on that.
Is it connected to water service? Do we know that?
No,
Any power going to it?
Well, yeah.
It's not disconnected,
It's not
but it's
disconnected.
not on
There's a
either.
meter there.
Yeah.
See it.
It's completely gutted.
So is there any way to send some of the, like, send a notice if you wanna do any future? I mean, Shadow Doubt, she came and she asked about it. Is there any way to send her this information, send her grandfather? Can we send it to her?
She's not the owner.
So only the owner can get
We-
that.
Surely there's
required-
communication between her and her grandfather, or she wouldn't know to be here.
Right.
I don't know, it looked like she had the laminated sheet that was stapled up there.
Yeah, so.
So she handed it to me outside. Do we have, when she requested to speak, did she give any information on that?
We have her information.
Just her, yeah.
But one of the things I wanna let you, let you guys know, to get to this point, the number of staff hours that have been put into this.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the advertising. We advertise all of this. And so, we haven't gotten to it yet, but, our advertising costs are gonna be going up. And I mean, it's just another cost of doing business. And again, you guys can, that is one of your options. You can permit a repair, but I would highly recommend that you put a time frame to it. Because this, again, these are 8 homes and this is just, there's a long list after this to bring to you and a long list before this that we brought to you.
I've been here for 3 or 4 cycles of this, and from my experience, 95% of the people that come here and say they'll do something, do not. I will be the bad guy, and I will move to declare 310 North View a dangerous building and other, in order that the owner demolish and remove the building within 30 days. I don't have to, but
I second that.
All in favor?
1101 North Harvey Street.
You see the history there,
Yeah.
And Jay, I don't know if you have anything else, input into that.
That's basically the history right now. Arnold Carl back in June and said he was gonna try to plan to demolish the home, but never contacted again. And, yeah, I've sent some letters for high grass and weeds and stuff. I know that's nothing for the building, but I'm always having to maintain to make sure the owner cuts that one too. But so the roof is completely, and it's starting to cave in on the backside.
Right. So the owner was gonna tear it down anyway.
Yes.
He stated he was, but it's never started or.
I move to declare 1101 North Harvey a dangerous building in order that the owner demolish and remove the building within 30 days.
Second.
All in favor?
909 North Smith.
Joe, what's your timeline?
My timeline is, I have limited spare time to work on it, but I'll do it as much as I can.
How much have you gotten cleaned up lately?
Well, I've been clearing trees because I talked to Mendoza backhoe about coming in there and knocking the house, what's left of it completely down, and he says I need to clear the trees around it so he can get into it. I've been working on that. Cut down a big dead pecan tree on the property Thursday evening.
When was the last? So you were over there just last week?
I live right next door.
I know where you live, Joe. So you're over there as you can.
Yeah.
As quickly as you
I
can.
work full time.
Yeah.
All the driving chores
I know,
Are my responsibility, you know my picture.
I do, I know you very well. How long do you think it take to get that taken care of?
Couple of months. Please.
So I think it's a dangerous building, but based on your statement, you're saying you can't get it done in 30 days.
Yeah. Financially, there's no way.
Oh, I know, the roll-offs are very expensive.
What's the difference in us declaring this and if he can't do it, we do it, we pay for it, it's just there's a lien against the property, that's it.
There'd be a lien, I mean, that's.
But that's
It's his
his
money.
until, correct, but that's his property until you were to sell it, so I mean.
Right.
He defaults on his own.
Are
As
you
I
wanting
understand
to
it,
demolish?
that house is on the same lot with mine.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can divide it up and
On the same property.
deed it off
A
to,
couple others that have houses on the
there's
same
another
property.
lot on the backside of there that belongs to me, apparently goes over to Live Oak Street. I just became aware of them.
Because what he's doing is saying, the guy who was gonna come
It
and
just may
demo
be in
it
your best interest to
was,
do this, and the city does it, it's cleaned up, you just have a lien on your property. If you're not gonna sell,
Meaning,
you're not gonna ever sell that property.
I had no intention of selling it, but
yeah.
there's a lien on it, meaning I have to
Nothing.
make payment.
No.
We'd send you a bill first,
And
and then we
Cost
pay.
of the hall down, the cost of them would be,
Well, if you deed it over
Pay back
to
my
us.
cost of them.
Correct, but if you don't, there's a lien on it, and then there's no, I don't think there's any financial responsibility.
Okay.
Are you interested in deeding it over to us?
I don't know how, if it's on the same lot as your.
Right, it's just like my house.
Right?
Right. How big is the property?
I believe the deed said 95 feet by 190 feet, which extends from North Smith Street in front of my house to Live Oak Street.
Mr. Pond,
We can
have
advertise.
you had any issues communicating with him?
I hadn't had any contact from him when I sent the letters or anything, sir.
This stuff is way over my head here.
What do you mean?
I'm out of my element.
You don't know how to feel.
I don't know what a basement means.
Okay.
Yeah.
See the point of calling somebody to tell
I've
them
never heard of it.
what they already know.
It does.
So we give him a little grace, maybe and let him start.
Okay, can we have you come up? I mean, we're recording, I wanna make sure we get the conversations, we got a lot of side conversations going. Okay, so Justin, I'm not sure what the conversation was, can we?
So I was asking him and Mr. Potts about the amount of communication. Mr. Reed is saying he didn't quite understand what abatement and such things meant. Mr. Potts was saying Mr. Reed knows
To call and say what? It's not really there.
Yeah, no, I get it. And my point is if he is in the process, if he was over there just a couple days ago, what can we do to assist him in cleaning this up? Without having to just like say, give him 30 days, which he is saying is not feasible in his. current
You
state.
could give him more time,
But we can give him more time.
but I would give him a timeline,
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely for that.
Yeah.
so you could give him more time.
So how long do you think it would take to clear it?
It depends on when I can afford to get a backhoe over there and a dumpster. Like I said, I'm paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
You know my situation too.
Yeah, right down the street.
Like I said, if there's. I don't see the urgency, honestly, but.
I get it. Well, it's.
Well, if there were-
Yeah.
50, they're running
Yeah,
around
it's
my
like-
house.
22 years I've
I
lived.
know. No, you live in a dead end street, I know that. I'm just
Well,
worried about other issues.
Can I have Mr. Potts respond to that? He
One
did-
of the reasons we're looking at, when we look at a building that looks like this, and it's like you said, the lean and stuff. Lo and behold, the teenager or somebody or kid decide to go inside there and it accidentally fall down on them and stuff. So that's why we ask for these type things on these type buildings. Not saying they'll ever happen, but we have to also think about those type of things as well.
Cause there was somebody living in the house behind me, which is across from you, and they did have teenagers and stuff, so they were. Who knows what they were doing back there, but, for the safety,
Know the legal definition of it, I don't feel particularly bound to be responsible for the actions of trespassers.
That's a good point.
That is a good point.
Well, that's a legal question that we won't get into, but
Yeah.
the bottom line is the reason why these ordinances exist is for the health and safety of the community.
I understand.
And so when we have a dangerous building like this, I mean, it's a danger and it's a health and safety. You wondered it wasn't hurting, but we have, that is the danger. So we have to look at risk analysis, and I mean, that would be, I don't wanna get into a legal conversation with, you know, what your responsibility would be. We just don't want anyone, you know, to be hurt on the property.
Anybody get hurt either, but like I said, I don't feel that it's a danger. There's a few walls that still remain standing or being propped up by the trees that I need to cut down before I can get heavy equipment in there to just
And I
bring it down
understand that,
too.
but I mean, the ordinance defines what is dangerous. And so you have in your background material, what, I mean, the items that are considered dangerous.
Could we, if we give you 6 months, could you do some?
I'm sure I could do. Quite a lot of it, possibly all of it.
6 months?
Yeah.
What do you guys say that I'll give them 6 months?
Sure. Not for that.
That's
All right.
great.
So we're giving 6 months to take care of that.
Make the motion.
So,
So your action on this would be to declare it a dangerous building and give the owner 6 months to demolish the building. Or demolish or
I
remove
got
it.
it, I got it.
Well,
Yeah.
but if it's not, we would ask, you would have in that if it's not, so that we don't have to advertise, that you would, it would become a dangerous building. If it's not resolved by the property.
Well, I'm gonna move to deem it a dangerous building and I'm gonna give them 180 days.
Yeah.
So I move to declare 909 North Smith a dangerous building and order that the owner demolish and remove the building within 180 days.
Very good.
All in favor?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir.
601 East Gaddis.
More on this.
No, there's.
This is a home that's on 601 East Gaddis. There's actually a second home on this property as well. This is the house to the east side of the property that's completely fallen. It's hard to see in a bunch of my pictures, but it's completely falling in on itself, and it's the same situation kind of as previous case before.
No, any
No
contact.
contact from the owners, letter sent out, building's been posted by us.
I move to declare 601 East Gaddis as a dangerous building in order that the owner demolish and remove the building within 30 days.
I second.
All in favor? 803 West Holm.
So on this property, you'll notice from your background information, the city commission did order this house to be torn down back in 23. The county sold the property in a tax sale before it was able to be demolished. So the county notified the buyers at the tax sale that it was a substandard home. But we have to start that process all over, which we did. And
When was that tax sale? Did you say that?
Tax sales.
sorry?
When was the tax sale?
Right, you started, Jay.
December,
Yeah, right.
it was December 2024, I believe.
Yeah,
Oh,
December 24. It was like
Yeah.
20 days after I started, or 15 days after I even started work. It's been a while. And the company has not ever responded to any of the letters we sent to them. And even had to send letters for.
It's company owned.
Yes.
Yeah. I move to declare 803 West Holm a dangerous building in order that the owner demolish and remove the building within 30 days.
I second.
All in favor? 301 Northview.
This is also another property that actually has two residents on it, and 911 gives this trailer house a 303 address, but it's actually all on 301 North View, so that's why I've had to address it under the 301 North View property. The trailer, all the skirting around it's falling apart, the windows, I think there's a few missing. No electrical, no water, and continues to have the grass and stuff around it at the time too.
Yeah, this one kind of looks familiar. Was this,
This is 301 North View,
was there another trailer on that property?
Yes, there's two.
Was it one-
trailers.
Two trailers and one is like,
It's the one on the north side.
yeah, and so it wasn't this like a shock that the owner said that, like his son is,
No.
There's a house,
No, it's
and
not
there's
that
a trailer,
It's not that one?
no,
okay,
there's a house on the corner of,
you know which one I'm talking about, okay.
and then this house, this is the trailer straight this due north on the same piece of property,
Any contact?
no contact.
Okay. I move to declare 301 North Butte a dangerous building in order that the owner demolish and remove the building within 30 days.
All in favor? 1100 East Walker.
This is the, as you see, the house is also, I'm pretty sure they purchased this during one of the county tax sales and stuff. They went in and then they started working on it. And then they just stopped. And now it's got siding off of it, missing windows. It's structurally, it does not seem to be safe at all.
I believe this building was owned by Dane Alford's dad.
Yes.
Yeah, they were working on it because the whole front end was like all messed up, and so they did something, but now the county.
It was bought by the
tax sale.
tax sale, the gentleman bought it and now he's gone this far. He
Yeah.
bought like 5 or 6 properties with that tax sale.
It's for sale.
It's currently for sale.
Okay, has there any been any contact?
No contact from him.
One of his letters did come back.
Yeah.
Oh, but one did.
He didn't sign for one of the letters that was sent to him. There wasn't a signature to come back to us.
No, it's certified, no secret.
Yeah.
So, no contact, but
So one did, they did.
one did, okay. So,
Have you seen anybody over there
Super.
anytime recently?
Not anytime recently, not in the last year, probably.
The owners didn't.
We cut his grass for him this year.
oh, we did that for you.
We had to do that because, yeah.
Keep in mind, this is on Walker.
Right,
Yeah, it's on-
And near school.
Yeah.
and it's, we're trying to beautify Breckenridge.
Correct.
I
move to declare 1100 East Walker a dangerous building in order that the owner demolish and remove the building within 30 days.
Half second.
All in favor?
Can we, make sure that was like number 1 on the list?
Yeah, take care of
those
those.
days.
Send it out first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How much is it per sale
28 now.
for that?
Spend that money.
28 times?
28,000.
You.
No, no way.
No.
No.
Anybody need a house?
28 times, something like that.
Yeah.
Number 13, discussion and any necessary action regarding approval of ordinance 2026-11 regarding a proposed amendment to chapter 22 zoning of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances to add wind turbine recycling facility as a permissible use in industrial I zoning districts.
So, the commissioners, just, remind you, there's 3 parts to our zoning. We have got our zoning ordinance, our use chart, and our zoning map. This is a request to update our use chart to allow, this use, a wind turbine recycling facility as a permissible use in our, property zone industrial. The owner has requested the development and operation of a facility and focus on processing and recycling the end-of-life wind turbine blades and related wind energy components, along with the operation of concrete gas plant that will utilize processed wind turbine blade material as an aggregate or supplemental material in concrete. Operations will be in compliance with applicable regulatory agencies, i.e. PCQ. And the manufacturing operation is projected to promote sustainable industrial development, economic growth, specifically create jobs, increase our tax base, support recycling and beneficial reuse of difficult exposed composite materials. And to advance environmentally responsible manufacturing practices. T&Z did heard this addressed this last night in their meeting, excuse me, and they did recommend, to, vote in favor of approving the ordinance, which is creating the use for permissible use. We do have the, owner of the company is here, Bob,
Yeah, Rob.
I'm sorry, what's your last?
Piscatelli.
Piscatelli. I butchered it last night, so I mean, if you want to come up here, if you have questions, I mean, we do have pictures of what's going on out there, so if you have questions, he's here to answer any questions.
Sure, good evening, everyone. Is there any specific questions, or I could just go with a high level overview of
What's your expected water use? That's all in your pamphlet. It talks about the dust.
Yeah.
Being a major issue.
Yes.
What are you expecting?
We use about 40 gallons an hour when we're running full tilt. That would probably be 5 to 6 hours a day of that 40 gallons an hour. The whole month. It's not all day, every day.
Good. Okay.
So that was one of my big questions. You have fiberglass, you have carbon fiber and things like that floating into the air. So obviously the water is to keep the dust down as you're destroying these things. So.
Correct, yep, so I've already had discussions with air division at ECQ as well as stormwater division at ECQ. These are all very standard, applications and permits that we would be applying for. In general, no, there's no specific regulation for wind turbine recycling. We actually, our first facility is in Iowa, and we did help write regulation for that, where we have emission calculations all the way down to the dust that's kicked up by the trucks that come in and out of the facility.
Also, I know that some of those blades, they're carbon fiber, they're fiberglass, and there's resins, other things like holding them together. Do you dissolve any of that prior to the destruction of it, or is that that's all in the destruction?
Nope, yeah, it's all mechanical separation that we do, and then we reclaim, all of that material that then goes to our ends as well.
Okay, so there's no dissolvent or anything used to get rid of that resin that you made, because there's been sold in the farm.
Right. Yeah, no, it's 100% mechanical process that we do. So we're not adding any chemicals or anything to the environment.
It's shredded and then hauled off. No concrete is made on site.
On site, we would be making concrete potentially. So one of the things that we've developed in house as a use for this material is a precast concrete product. So right now we are making in Iowa 2x2x6 block, which is a very standard, industrial right there on the right. So any aggregate company, any municipality uses this type of material. Ultimately, we'd love to make an aggregate that's then just goes to larger ready-mix plants, but it's like any new industry, just proof of concept. We're doing it in-house on our own right now, just to then help it, integrate into the larger industry.
So, the company, the city that this company, is in Iowa, I called the mayor and I talked with him on about the company and how they run, and he said that he had nothing but flying colors for them, and he said that they are involved in the community, and they actually come and they talk with the community, ask any questions that the community has. Let alone they had a luncheon, I believe it was a luncheon with the community where the owners and their children and wives came down and they met the community. They poured into the community when they poured into the fire station, the police station. They built a playground for the community. I mean, the community that the company is in wasn't a big community. It's 100 people, but that makes a big difference in a 100-person community. And so I think it's what they're doing is it's neat because we do deal with the blades and stuff from the windmills, but let alone provides jobs. They pour back into the community, and what I've read in their stuff is flying colors.
Yeah, thank you. Glad you call it. It's a very small town.
Yeah.
And again, we need to be in a place where we have space. We need to be close to both where they're coming from. So if you look in Iowa, there's obviously a significant amount of wind turbines there.
Right.
Just like in this region of the country as well. So that's why we've selected this area, both for the inbound and then the outbound. We want to get into the concrete industry around here, Dallas, Fort Worth. It's just a massive, this whole area is exploding. So we want to be here to participate in that.
And one of the things that the mayor dealt with was he had second thoughts, or he was kind of questioning because there were other wind turbine companies that came and they just end up making a wind turbine graveyard. And this company actually does what they said they're gonna do with it.
That's that company out in Owen County, what happened with them when they didn't follow up.
If we say yes today, what's kind of your timeline, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, so we have the property under contract, and I think we're probably about 15 days out from just, you know, all the legal and mortgage, all that fun stuff, and then. We would, you know, do some beautification of the property almost right away. There's some utility work that needs to be done. There's some, you know, vandalism that's destroyed the electric
But you're up
infrastructure.
there, the ground is running as soon as possible.
Yeah, so, you know, ideally, we would, you know, be working here Q4, ideally. You know, we don't have any work slated. It's a little bit of a if you build it, they will come model, but from our customers are nationwide, so we've said, hey, we're gonna open up in this area soon, and they kind of said how quickly we can be operating.
So are you looking? That's a 2-lane road out there, and those blades are fairly large in size. So that says truck receiving 7-4, you looking for, how many trucks would you say a day?
So our trucks, they come in legal truckloads, so there's some initial sizing done in the field. So everything comes in either on a step deck trailer like that, where it's legal height, legal width,
Okay,
or sometimes in dump trailers, or we'll cut them flat. So we self-perform some of this work in the field, and then a lot of times our customers will also, you know, load the trucks and send them to us, but everything's legal truckload.
so everything is cut down to the size you require and size easier to transport before you ever ship this.
Correct, so this would be the biggest you see come, and when you stand by it, it is massive, you know, it's the same size as a van trailer, but instead of the van, it's, you know, the turbine blade nested within it itself, but yeah, it's legal truckload. Volume wise, 6 to 10 a day on a really busy day with then, you know, 3, 4 on outbound, so maximum would be, you know, 14 trucks a day in or out. So we'd have no major impact, you know, in the traffic patterns of the area.
And it's a textile facility.
How
It's
many,
a textile facility, road.
how many jobs would this provide?
It'd be 6 to 10 jobs. So it'd be, you know, the 6 when we start going, as we get more into the concrete application, that's when the additional jobs would come in. We literally just 2 weeks ago installed that first plant in Iowa. So just like our shredders, when we bought the first one, we knew we needed a second, but we wanted to run it for 90 days because we were gonna say, oh, we wish this was a different angle or this was a different size.
So this doesn't include the concrete process, you're saying this is just the
It
shredding
would be,
process?
6 would be the shredding process up to 10, then once the concrete application is going, which would, again, hopefully be very quickly because our customers are really excited about that product that we're bringing to market.
Good, we good?
Yep.
Yeah. I move to approve ordinance 2026-11 as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Excited to come to town.
Yes.
See you all really soon.
We'll see you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Number 14, discussion and any necessary action regarding approval of ordinance 2026-12. A proposed amendment to chapter 22 zoning of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances to add manufactured homes as a permissible use with a conditional use permit in certain additional residential zoning districts.
So this is a 2-part action before you tonight. This is this action, and then the subsequent one is dependent upon this one. Again, P and Z met last night and is recommending approval of this, and this would be adding in our use chart a conditional use permit for a manufactured home. Get my nomenclature correct because it is a home, a manufactured home. To be in a single family 7.5, single family 7.5 denotes the size of the property. And so there are 2 different actions. One would be changing the use chart to allow. And if you allow this, then we've got a request for an additional use permit.
And P and we already approved this.
They're recommending you.
I'm moving to approve ordinance 2026-12 as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Number 15, discussion and any necessary action regarding adoption of ordinance 2026-13. Granting conditional use permit for placement of a manufactured home on property known as 309 Dallas, which is a single family residential SF 7.5 zoning district.
So this is, the property and the homeowner request, again, P and Z did approve it, staff would like to did remind P and Z members and would like to remind you, we just had a major comprehensive zoning plan update. And, spent considerable amount of time looking at zoning and looking at manufactured homes. When you do something like this, you are setting a precedent. And so one of the things that we talked about last night was what sets this property apart, where you would consider a conditional use permit. This is a 5-acre tract land. So if others come and ask the same thing, remember, I mean, you're setting a precedent, but at least here you can say, well, this was 5 acres, well, 4.71 acres. So that's the tract of land. You see that, where the star is, that's an overview. Where the star is where the mobile home would be placed. And remember, when we did the zoning update, we unfortunately had zoning classifications that had more than one use, which is not best practice. And so what we were trying to do in that zoning update was purify those zoning classifications. So you're going to have, this was an area that was, if you look to it was R4, some of these areas that are nearby. Because you have stick-built homes and mobile homes. So just FYI, that's just your information for you to consider.
So what do you mean by we're setting a precedent?
You're setting a precedent for anybody else who comes and asks. I mean, you have zoning laws for a reason.
Okay, but putting a house on this property would increase the property value, which would generate more taxes, is that correct?
That is not the question before you.
Well, that's the point.
Okay. Well, okay, if you look in, I'll just.
I move to approve ordinance 26-13 as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Right, did everyone vote in favor?
She's happy. Sixteen, discussion of any action regarding amending chapter 22 zoning of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances by amending table 8, general business retail uses, to add vape shops as a use which is prohibited in all zoning districts, and amending section 30 definitions to establish definition for vape shop.
Okay, you can read the background information. P and Z approved this. And this will not allow any more vape shops to be in the city. Right now we have 6. I will tell you, discussion last night, they are gonna wanna come back. P and Z recommending that you, even though they took this action and recommended it to you tonight, they are looking at allowing it recommending that you do allow it in industrial.
So right now, this one is to not allow it at all, but come back and revisit it to allow it in certain locations.
Correct.
Currently, we have 6,
Yes,
And they're grandfathered in, I suppose.
they're grandfathered in. They're legal non-conforming.
Because we had an issue with one of them that is built by the school,
Yes.
like literally down the street from the schools. So this will eliminate that.
That one, it will be legal non-conforming still. You
Yeah.
have a letter at your place that you
Right.
put up there.
they're currently abiding by all laws.
Right.
Yeah. And Eileen's looked at this and she.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will say, police chief has been over there making sure that they are in compliance with the state statute.
I move to approve ordinance 2026-14, amending chapter 22, the zoning of Breckenridge Code of Ordinances by amending table 8, general business retail uses, to add vape shops as a use which is prohibited in all zoning districts, and amending section 30 definitions to establish a definition for vape shop.
I said.
All in favor? Number 17, discussion and any necessary action regarding approval of resolution 2026-19, accepting the 2026 certified appraisal roll.
So you've got the certified appraisal roll in front of you, and all this action is, just accepting that certified appraisal value.
I move to approve resolution 2026-19, accepting the 2026 certified appraisal roll.
Second. All in favor? Aye. 18, discussion and any necessary action regarding approval of resolution 2026-20, May ISD homecoming parade.
Mayor, Commissioners, every year we do bring this to you. We partner with the ISD to host the homecoming parade, or not to host it, but we work with them to provide traffic control, things like that. And we also have to submit applications through TxDOT for the closure of Walker Street. And so in the past couple of parades, we've all worked really hard to come up with a traffic plan, a staging plan, things like that, that really seem to work for all parades. And so we have hoped to keep that, in a standardized format so that if other parades come in, that, makes it simple and easy for traffic control. This year, the BISD is hoping to. Did you? Oh, you put it on, sorry.
No, I just, because you had said me and I was like,
Oh, this year, they want to hold the parade on September the 2nd from 7 to 8 p.m. and that's on Wednesday. And this resolution, will just, once it's passed, we'll send everything to TxDOT for approval of the closure of Walker Street. And we do have Gentry here who, and, more BISD here, if y'all have anything that y'all would like to add. Great.
We have the same format as last year. We're obviously looking to make sure, to improve on that. We thought it was really, a lot of things pretty went smoothly. So again, we'll revisit that. We've already started talking about it. What can we do better? We started that last year. So.
They're staging on Second Street over by the AFA now, kind of staging down there and then lining up. And then lining up down Live Oak. So they'll start that. It made it easier for the big trucks, which was one of the big issues in the past. So it works that way down Walker Street and then back up. We also stopped allowing drop-offs on Court Street, which was congesting traffic and things like that. So hopefully we've got a lot of those kinks worked out and your process moving forward.
And would you say that system that you implemented last year worked good?
It was better than what it had been. So there's still the pieces that we want to improve on.
I know I did, Stetson Dugler, he was driving the 18 wheeler that had the football team. And he had trouble getting his truck back there. And then he was parked in front of houses where there was nowhere else to go. And then his complaint was trying to drive back on those side roads to go drop off back at school. I think Chad.
I drove the truck last year too. It was, used to, you drop them off where the X is and it was great. The kids could go to the pep rally at the courthouse and it worked really smooth and us drivers could get back to wherever we were going, but having to drop the kids back off at the high school was absolutely terrible.
Well, I think we did allow limited drop off, and I think we were talking about that up by TSTC if there was needed. But the reason to stop drop offs there at Court Street was that it was completely backing up the parade right there, and then kids running across and things like that. It was a safety hazard.
And we had some miscommunication and there was a bus parked there and the band, they were getting the band kids to take to that rally. So that, which we didn't anticipate because we didn't know that's how that was gonna work.
Yeah.
So now that we know, because your truck should be able to stop where exactly where the bus was, but now there's a bus and there's kids getting on the bus. So now that we know that, that's a conversation to have. Hey, we're not gonna park the bus there. So it's just a miscommunication. We didn't know what we didn't know.
But with it being a 5-day school week this year, pep rally will be on Friday and there is talk of no bonfire for homecoming, bonfire being for senior night. And so that also will allow easier drop off at TSTC for like the final with all the semis and everything like that.
Generally, we do meet with BISD and all of the entities together to kind of try to work out some of those kinks.
Yes.
With the police chief and the street department and everything to try and work all of that out so that if there are issues that come up, this action today really is just the approval of the resolution allowing us to host that parade and to have the closure for TxDOT on Walker Street.
I move to approve resolutions 2026-20 as presented.
Second. All in favor? Aye. 19, consider approval of resolution 2026-21, designating the Albany News as the official newspaper of the city of Breckenridge for public notices effective August 4th, 2026 through September 30th, 2026, and designating the Abilene Reporter News as the official newspaper for ordinance publications in accordance with section 4.24 of the city chapter.
So this action item, generally in October of every year, we do bring to you to have our newspaper of record for the year of where we're gonna post our public notices, things like the ordinances, stuff like that. But unfortunately, in July, the Breckenridge American ceased printing a physical paper. So it no longer meets the requirements of the government code that we need for public notices. So what this opened up was kind of a bucket of worms in a way, like we, and I hate to put it in that way, but it really did. There was a lot of research that went into this, into what the best options are moving forward for us, because we don't have a lot of physical newspaper options in Breckenridge currently, or that meet the requirements of Texas government code. And you can see at the top, those are the requirements of Texas government code. And then the requirements of our ordinance, of our charter, are a little bit different. So we have to meet both of those. So when we were looking at options, the Abilene Reporter News was the first option that we did look at. That one is sold here in Breckenridge. There is a physical paper here, and they do meet both requirements of the charter as well as the government code. The issue with that is when we started publishing those, the line ad rate was $5.19 per line. So where an ad was previously costing us approximately, let's say $150 to $200 to run, it was upwards of $600 to $700. So that was a significant cost increase to the city. So that created a little bit more research on our end where we said, okay, let's see if we can come up with a creative way that we can, fix this issue and still remain fiscally responsible for our budget. So what we did is we did reach out to Albany News, and they do meet the requirements of the government code for things like public notices. Where they do not meet is for the charter, because they do not print a physical paper in Breckenridge. And our charter requires that be for the past year that they publish in the city. You can see their line rate is $1.50, so it is a huge difference. And the majority of the things that we do publish are public notices. But what this would allow us to do is to work with Albany News over the next year, and I have been in contact with them. We have been in contact to try to work out a way that they can start having a physical paper available in Breckenridge so that they can meet the requirements of the charter in a year. Which would then allow them to do both. We don't always want to have two papers, but we feel that in order to have it as one, we're gonna spend a whole lot more money to do that. So we do recommend using the Albany News currently as our newspaper of record for public notices, and the Abilene Reporter News strictly for ordinance penalty postings only in accordance with our charter. This resolution in front of you today, it just finishes out the resolution that was approved in October of last year. So it would come back to you again in October to approve it for a whole year ahead of time. And then we can continue to work those things out.
Can we, in the future, can we change our charter to match the Texas government code?
Well, to change the charter requires an election, and that is something that is on our list to do.
Can we just put it on the next time we do that then, an election? Or is that-
Well, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. But that is an action that because there's several things in the charter that staff would recommend that change, but,
Gotcha.
We feel this is definitely gonna be our best option currently, and in the situation that we're in now to remain legally compliant, but still be fiscally responsible.
I move to approve 2026-21 as presented.
I second.
All in favor? Number 20, discussion and any necessary action regarding approval of interlocal agreement with Young County, Texas for the purpose of funding a bond supervision officer.
so this is the renewal. It comes to you every year annually. It is between Young County, Stevens County, the city of Graham, city of Olney, and the city of Breckenridge. And it basically pays for, an overseer for this program. And so we do it every year. I will say the first couple of years, there was no increase. Last year, there was a 5% increase. This year, there was a 5% increase. And, I have talked to them, and they are projecting that there will be a 5% increase on an annual basis, for this project, and primarily for the salary of the individual.
Y'all understand that? Yeah. No, right now, Blackstock comes in, he's responsible, Young County, he comes in and handles on bond supervision for us.
Yeah.
So anytime judge places bonds, you can have that. He's the one who handles anybody on bond supervision, it worked actually really well.
So I move to approve an interlocal agreement with Young County for the purpose of funding a bond supervision officer.
Second. All in favor? 21, discussion and any necessary action regarding approval of ordinance 2026-15, providing for the abandonment, vacation and closure of certain streets within the High Mount addition and providing for the convenience in said property.
So for us to, we've had this request to close this road. To close the road, we have to take any of the right of way that is there and half of it goes to one property owner and half goes to the other property owner, the abutting property owner. To be clear, this was a big project. It is an unrecorded plat. These roads are not there. This is virgin land. And so what the ordinance is before you is closing the road and again, vacating the road. And half of it goes to us. We are the property owner on the north side of that. This is down by Booker T Park. And the south side, the property owner is Chad Townsend, and it would go to him. Again, these roads are not there. There's nothing there. It is, if you go there, it's a drop off. So it's virgin land. And that's what is before you.
I move to approve ordinance 2026-15 as presented.
I second.
All in favor? 22, discussion and any action regarding approval of resolution 2026-22 declaring surplus property.
So the fire department has received a grant for new air compressors. And the existing air compressor is 30 years old. The Albany Fire Department is in need of an air compressor. Staff is proposing to exchange our old air compressor for air bottles. And to do so, we are asking the city commission to declare the old air compressor surplus.
I move to approve resolution 2026-22 as presented.
Second. All in favor? 23, discussion and any necessary action regarding FY 2026-2027 budget.
Okay, so we presented a draft budget to you last month based on preliminary values. We got the next slide, we got our hold on. We got our certified values in, and so I'm not going to go through all these slides. If you would go to the next. Okay, but a couple things I wanted to go over. We start talking about the budget in February, March of every year. And here in Breckenridge, we've talked about the budget almost every meeting since March. Since we have 3 new commissioners on here, mayor and commissioner, I wanted to review the strategic plan. I have discussed with the mayor, probably a good idea maybe to review the strategic plan, make sure we're still all on board with what these goals are. They're very simple. Invest in infrastructure, invest in employees, invest in beautification, promote economic development and tourism, promote transparency and communication. This is basically, when we did it the first time, it was vetted through staff, it was vetted through the city commissioners, it was vetted through community leaders, including those at the appraisal district, the hospital, the school district, the county, the EDC and the chamber. Were all involved, as well as all of the citizens. We had a public meeting and we went to the citizens with all of this and getting their input on what their priorities were per department in Breckenridge. And this is what was basically the result of all of those meetings. So it's very well vetted. However, every year we do review the strategic plan. We talk about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going, and where, if you go back to the next slide, that. And we, make sure that we're still on track. And so we're asking for commission input. We've been asking for that input for several months. And the reason is, I mean, it helps us set clear targets and goals. It makes sure that we're prioritizing our limited funds. It keeps us on track to actually work the plan. If you go to the next slide, this was presented several months ago, but what we do is we review the strategic plan. We look at, those are the 5 goals. Go to the next slide. This was in your packet. I'm not gonna go over in detail, but I just wanted to highlight, we do this different every year. This year, what I did was department by department, what we've done in each department that was in alignment with the strategic plan. And so you see how in administration, we invested in our infrastructure. This commission chambers used to be this with the back wall right here. And so it was much smaller. So now we have a bigger commission chamber. We have redone some restrooms here. This is how old is this building, Diane? I mean, it's been a grocery store. It's been a grocery store, right? I mean, it's been a lot of stuff, but we've had it for several years now. Investing in employees with the vehicle replacement program, employee pay, employee certification pay, training, budgets, and improving our employee culture. As far as tourism, transparency, and communication and administration, how we have promoted that is our Citizens Academy. We're our second one. We've initiated a fall festival, and transparency and communication. We updated the website, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and that content keeps in, we keep that content updated on a daily basis. We do live streaming. We didn't do live streaming of these meetings before I got here. When I got here, we started doing the live streaming. We have increased our social media and digital tools and our platform and our communication across those platforms. Our police, we have improvements to the ACO facility. We have updated radio, we're updating radios, exploring that. That's kind of on hold because there's a statewide initiative to address that. We have body cams, we got a grant for body cams for our police. And as far as employees, we've invested in our employees, we've increased ACO officers, we went from 2.5 to 3. And we have gotten our pay and up to date, our certification pay. When we commissioners approved the certification pay back before I got here, 20, I believe, 21. However, it was not funded. So we had a phased in approach to funding that certification pay. And at this point, it is 100% funded as long as our employees have the different certifications. We have increased our law enforcement and increased ACO enforcement. If you look at the next 2 slides, it shows you that those comparisons, the citations that were issued in 24 compared to 25 in law enforcement, and in our ACO operations, same thing, the citations that were issued in 24 and 25. So there's been a marked increase in our enforcement. For public services, we have a new playground. We have a new little kid playground. We have disc golf updates and improvements. We have updates to pool offices that happened this year and the restrooms. Again, the vehicle replacement, pretty much the investment in employees is pretty much the same. Beautifying Breckenridge, we invested in the Foundation Park. The biggest thing there, I mean, we do tree trimming almost every year, but we did invest in turf, which has been great look for the Foundation Park in our downtown area. We've increased our park amenities, sand volleyball, pickleball, lights of Booker T park. And then, we are going out, we have a splash pad grant. We applied for it, we didn't get it, we applied for it again, we got it, and that is in process right now. And the next slide, Public Works. I've talked about the projects, I'm not gonna go over those, employees, Unifying Breckenridge, I mean, every year we have invested in the Consolas Creek maintenance and, weed eating, along 183 and 180 and in the downtown area, Lake Daniels improvements. And so those are the improvements that are in alignment with our strategic plan that we made over the last couple of years. Well, economic development, well, we've got, so we hired of course, our full-time code officer, Jay, who's done an outstanding job these last 2 years. We brought many ordinance updates to you over these last 4 years. Beautifying Breckenridge, substandard buildings, we went through some of that one round tonight. We've done several prior to this. We did have a grant to update our comprehensive development plan. And for those new ones that are here, it is online, and I would recommend that you go through that, and I'm happy to highlight any of those items for you. It is super important. The zoning was just completed in February, and that sets the stage for how our community looks for years to come. Lake Daniels, we do have a 5-year plan. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to put too much toward it. One of the things we're looking at is adding a dock out of the lake, and putting additional restrooms and campsite improvements out there. We do feel it as primitive camping out there. The downtown maintenance, EDC was paying for that, and we've assumed responsibility for that. We initiated, as far as 3 and 4, we've initiated development review meetings with our developers. There is an uptick in our development in Breckenridge, which is exciting. I mean, it's not Dallas, Fort Worth, or Houston. But we are seeing an uptick in that, and so that is exciting. We have partnerships with the chamber, with the PEDC, and of course the BDDC, and we've got the sagebrush project that is ongoing, that will be a benefit to our community. This is the first time in many years that we've actually expanded, we've annexed property into the city. And not only is the school looking at locating there, but we are looking at single family, multifamily, and retail development out on that site, a 33-acre site by Walmart. So fire, of course, the big news there is we've got them in temporary living quarters, and we are prepping for a new fire station, which has been a long time coming. They were living in substandard conditions for quite some time, and so that has gone a long way to increase our morale in our fire department. We do a good job. Malcolm and Wes do a great job getting grants. We've got a bunker gear grant, air compressors, and we get grants almost every year, so they go out for those pretty religiously, and we're really good at getting them. So we partner with Stevens County, with the volunteer fire departments and emergency management, and they do programs in schools as well. So the budget process, I'm not going to review that a whole lot. We're getting towards the end. I will say that these timelines are state mandated timelines that we do have to meet. We're coming into those deadlines. Go to the next slide. We've gone over these. Go to the next slide. With the certified rates, basically the preliminary rates were, last year, the certified rates were 299 million, and this year, the preliminary was 318, but the certified rates came at 339, which is good for us. So the numbers changed for those no new revenue rates, voter approval rates. Our current tax rate is 102,893. The proposed tax rate now, if you remember last month, with the preliminary values, we were projecting 1.03, which would have been an increase, but we're recommending a penny decrease. So that proposed tax rate is 1.01893, which is a penny less. And you see the no new revenue rate there, the voter approval rate, which as a reminder is essentially up to a 3.5% increase is what is allowed by the state statute. The debt rate is calculated, and then the de minimis rate, and that is a rate that is available to cities under 30,000. Go to the next slide. You can see this is the certified values history, and then you can see there that now that chart has the certified values, which is 339 and some change. This is a 10-year tax rate history. I think that tells the story. We have been making progress over the last several years. The proposed tax rate is the lowest that it has been in 10 years. Again, I'm just going to review the funding challenges. The audit is up 30%, legal fees are up 30%, chemicals are up 20%, fuel costs are up 10%, the Young County bond was up 5%, workman's comp, building insurance is up, everything is increasing. I mean, the CPI is 3%. As I mentioned, gravel, and this was just recently that the gravel went up 40%, gravel and dirt. We talked about the employee health insurance, is going to be a substantial increase. What I did here is I put, if you go to the next slide, we still don't have a final. We did have another meeting with our insurance folks, and they're going back to Blue Cross Blue Shield, who is our carrier, and they are asking for other insurance carriers to submit quotes for us. We have had several that have declined to quote because our loss ratio is very high. And Blue Cross, they did come back and say our increase was 70%. So they were projecting a 50 to 100% increase in our employee health insurance, which is substantial. It came in at 70%. We are fairly confident they're going to go back and advocate on our behalf, and they have a lot of clout with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we're really hoping we can get that down to 60%, a 60% increase. Which, if you look at that first column, the total cost of insurance, we pay 100% for employees only, and then the employee is responsible to pick up if they have family members or a spouse. Right now, we are paying $621,000 for employee insurance. With a 60% increase, we were paying $688,000, which is an increase of about $67,000, $68,000. A 70% increase, if we can't get it down to 60, would be $731,000, which would be an increase of $110,000. Next slide. So we always do a house comparison. We look at the average value from last year, what the tax rate was, and what that average tax, what that tax would have been on an average value. This year is a little bit different. As the average, we get that average value from the appraisal district. The last year it was a 105,268. The year before that it was 105,050. This year it's 116. So it has, the average value has gone up quite a bit. But with a tax rate of 101.893, you compare what that average tax increase would be at that rate, it would be 106 increase. Go to the next slide. This is our sales tax revenue. We are projecting that our sales tax, we will be over what our projections were. Well, I think we projected about 2.3, and I think we're gonna end up at 2.5, give or take. And remember, we collect 2%, we keep 1% in the general funds. Half of cent, if of that other 1%, half of that percent goes to fund EDC. A quarter of that other 1% goes to street improvements, and a quarter of that 1% is dedicated for reducing property tax. So that's where that 2% goes. Go to the next slide. And this is our debt, and the total debt payments for this year will be $1,580,000. Next slide. And as I indicated earlier with the action, I think we can continue the road that we are with our utilities. I think next year we can come back and pay off 2012 debt, which is again about 570,000. The next one is about 750,000. And so that's something that in 2 years that we want to look at. That's something that staff will look at, analyze, and bring it to you if it's recommended that we would use some of our fund balance to pay off that debt that we talked about earlier. I'm not going to go through all these because these charts really didn't change that much from what we presented last week. One thing I would point to, we have made progress with our employees. We're still not, when we look at our employee salaries, we're still not meeting that average rate for those like communities. But we are making progress. And what I will tell you, I think the first, 3 years ago, we had 68 employees, and we had about 15 vacancies. It was hard to keep people, and we still do have quite a bit of turnover, and mostly in public works. But the fact that we have about 3 vacancies speaks, to what you guys have done as far as supporting our employees. I'm not, you'll go. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna go over all these slides. We went over them last year, but you'll go almost to the end of this. So we've been asking for your feedback, what we're hearing is that we're on track. But we need feedback from you right now. I mean, when you look at the increases, not all of these, the only increases, not all of these are new expenditures, let me put it that way. I mean, I like to flag our investment in our fleet maintenance program. And that's 200,000. That employee insurance increase of 68,000. I put that there just to pull it out at 60%. That's what it would be, but that is actually folded into the cost of I did increase the employee raise to 3%. Because I felt like we were able to do that. So that $282,000 includes our 3% employee increase and the $68,000 for insurance. Questions, discussion, feedback?
On the salaries, you said we're getting competitive, or we're trying to get other competitive. Is that for all positions or certain ones?
Most of the positions, I would say, we're really close. We've done over the years, so for the new ones, over the last 3 years, we've been able to not only do raises. So before I got here, essentially, they had raises for 5 years or more. And so that first year, I did not do that budget. That budget was done by an interim, but there was a 3%. And then we were able to do a 4%. I think we did 3%, 4%. Now we're looking at 3%. So we've been able to bring it up. and we have done some equity adjustments in, again, on the water, there's 4 different funds. You've got your general fund, you've got your water fund, you've got your wastewater funds, and those 2 are supported by utility billing. Okay, and then you've got your sanitation fund, which is our solid waste fund. So with the rate increases that we've done on the water, wastewater side over the last 5 years, we've been able to not only do increases, but we've done small equity as well. So our public works has gotten closer to that 50%. 1 year, it was 2 years ago, we did 2 years in a row, we did equity adjustments for department heads because they were very far off. And so they are closer, but some of our department heads are still the farthest off, I will say. City manager and the department heads are the farthest off the average.
Is that chart that you usually do for the TML comparison, is that on here? It was on the last one. Do that.
So
Yeah.
a salary comparison has been done, you said 2 years ago for all department heads, everything like that?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So you said 2 years ago, a comparison was done for department heads? Is that
Well, it
based
is
on
every year.
TML?
I mean, we're looking at, so we use TML,
Mhm.
and so we look at like cities
Mhm.
in population and geographical area, not all in the geographical area, but population. So that is that's the universe that we're using.
Mhm. Okay, because when I did my TML survey with their comparison thing, there were several of them that were far over, but there were some that were under, talking about department heads.
Right, and I took an average. So what I do is I'm taking, I'm looking at 10 different cities, for example. And so, yes, some are over and some are under. So then I take an average and I use that. That's the average. And then I compare that to what our actual is.
And let's see up there. Oh, the Main Street coordinator position.
Yes.
What kind of grants does having someone in that position, what does it allow us? What are the grants for? What do they do?
The grants are for Main Street improvements. So some of the things that we would be looking at or we could look at, even though there's some effort to the place to be. Does everybody know where I'm talking about with the place to be?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's some effort to do that. I mean, no funding has really been identified. That's something that we could get a grant for. We could get a grant for wayfinding signage downtown. I mean, there's a lot of different things, improvements in downtown. We do already have decorative lighting, but we could update that decorative lighting. We could do improvements to Foundation Park. There are different opportunities. And we would work, I mean, how I envision that position is that they would really help to work in partnership with the EDC, with the BDDC, and with the chamber. The chamber, we want to work with them, but we also have to remember the chamber is a member organization. And so they've got a targeted, I mean, their base is their, who their members are. But we do work with them. I mean, they administer our hot funds. So we've got a contract with them and they administer our hot funds, which are basically the events that we do. It doesn't mean that we can't do events. So there are there are events that Main Street coordinator could also do. One of the things that we've talked about, we've got this parking lot over here with this gazebo is having a food truck Friday and having a concert on Friday. And that could be an event that would bring people to the area. So having a person that could, work with our other entities and put that on would be a benefit.
With the Main Street coordinator, wouldn't we get a grant that is 100%?
They're all different. I mean, most of them, they're for, you want to identify a project.
Yeah.
And they're for a project. And some of them, a lot of them, there are matching funds, but some of them aren't. It depends on, just kind of like what we get with, I mean, even the body cams that we got, I mean, there's a portion that we paid.
So I have a question on, because we talked about it last meeting, was the contract mowing. You said a significant amount. Like you said, somewhere between 30 and 50,000. And this DEDC costs downtown worker, the 1099 worker. Is it required to have contract mowing on these city lots, or can city employees mow them instead of using contract mowing?
Well, when I say that this is mowing, okay. Remember when Jay said we mowed his lawn for him?
That's.
That's a lot of the mowing that we talked
I
about,
understand.
where we're placing a lien. Yes, our employees, sometimes they have mowed ours, and not all the time, but sometimes they have.
I'm talking to you, we're talking about the lots that people are neglecting.
Right.
Our city employees can mow those.
No,
No, they can't.
no, we need to have a contract.
It has to be a contractor.
And isn't that due to liability?
Well, it's a legal issue of being, we're not a business, you know, and so when we place a lien, we're using city resources to mow, and then we're placing it in the profit. So it's better to have a vendor, you know, a company that does that.
Okay.
Which was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what has helped us in the, maybe not as much this year, but what has helped us, you know, last year and the year before, and again, not those other years because we didn't have them, but having the clients, we have been able to utilize clients, and it has been a huge help for us and really where we put them to work is on Gonzales Creek maintenance, mostly. Although they have helped, you know, at the Top Shop, and they've helped at the cemetery and parks as well.
Okay. And you were talking about clientele from Walker Show, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could they be used for any of this contract mowing, or is that going to be? No.
Well, they're not, it's not predictable. It's not predictable and consistent.
Also, when it comes to that, it's free labor, so then we wouldn't be able to put a lien in where we are out.
Yes, okay, you have here still on the sun.
On the 3%, you're saying employees, but you're also talking about employees that are on salary, right?
Yes, I mean, we, at most cities, I mean, best practice, you don't want to give some employees a raise and some not a raise. That doesn't create a good environment of trust. So it's system-wide.
But if some are over and some are under, we're talking salary, wages, things like that. Then I would.
Well, I will say there's one position that is at 50%. And that is, I mean, I hate to get into personalities, I mean, it's a position, but there's one position that is at 50%. Everybody else is below, and that, well, it's code. It's at, but that's the only one that is at. We've gained, we're closer, but not.
My research showed, like I said, when I used TML survey, that there were several of those that were higher, but far higher. I don't know how you could average those down. And so maybe that's a discussion for another time, but I don't personally see how if they're that far above, how a 3% increase in their employment is a good thing. Because if they're that high up, 3% is going to be far more than it is for someone who's down here. Someone who is making far less than the average.
And what cities did you use?
I use TML's salary survey.
I know, but what does that include? Dallas, Fort Worth, Plano, Richmond?
No, because you can go in there and you can set it by population. I also actually reached out to some of the surrounding towns just to figure this out.
Geographically.
Yeah, people that were in the same situation we are, a single town or a small town in a rural county.
Is there anything in the budget on getting any computers put into the actual police vehicles?
Tough books, no. We have looked at, I mean, there are some grants that are available, but no, we have not. That is a huge expense and we just haven't. I mean, we take it, you know, one day at a time. There's a lot of wants out there.
I get that, but when we have people that are going out doing things and then they have to come back to the office and print it all up, that's a waste of a resource right there.
Right. I don't disagree.
It's a lot of travel time, a lot of fuel costs, you know, running back and forth to the office.
I don't disagree. Tough books would be nice, they're expensive. And we have been looking for grants.
But then you're going into a place of trying to shuffle resources through like what's over here, and then you like shuffle it over that way, but then you're neglecting stuff over here. And so it's better to have a budget that's actually across the full board where you're able to deal with issues. Now, it might not raise the lowest person who's getting paid them that much, but you're making it across the board to deal with the funds and the resources that we actually do have. But also, we are able to acquire resources through grants. We're trying to stay away from loans, but through grants. And some of those grants we had to pay also into it, so. I mean, that's with that, I think that I was gonna go.
One thing I would say for the, again, just to keep in mind on the 3% increase, the CPI is 3 point something%. I mean, they're not even keeping pace because our employees are having struggles as well, but, and then you have employee, insurance increases as well.
That changes insurance is not gonna even touch it.
Well, right, even with the 3%, they're gonna be losing money this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, trying to offset that cost of that increase in insurance is, that's gonna be difficult. It's just a discussion. We can move it.
But, well, is there feedback for us? I mean, are we on track with how we need to go? Because we've got deadlines we need to meet.
So I approve the number you proposed.
Yeah.
I approve that. No.
I mean, this is not formal action.
Right, I know. But it makes sense of what you have presented, the numbers that you're presenting. I'm for that. I don't, that's, I think line with that.
I think what most everybody, if you're saying that they agree with the direction you're going on time.
So the next steps, just, I mean, and you guys know, because you took action, I mean, we'll have a public hearing on the 25th. And that will be for the public, so you won't be making a decision that night either. But again, if there's changes to what we presented, we need to know so we can make those changes. So that then you'll have input on the 25th, and then on September 1st, that's when you'll adopt the budget. So we would need to know, you know, I mean, in the next few weeks, there's.
Do we know if doing this 3% increase is going to bump anybody in the higher tax bracket could actually end up cutting their check?
Health insurance is gonna do this.
Because the very, it's the insurance, I health insurance. That's the great thing, it's even under the same.
That would be hard, based on everyone and their individual, like, you know, what their individual withholdings are and things like that. I mean, that, and their family status, things like that. I mean, that would be really hard to figure for each individual person.
So like right now, the only thing that's mean off of 50% is him. So right now, everybody's below. So I don't think it will help them over, can be over a tax bracket, but that will require you to individually. And all the things that go into individually, as in like, you know, the amount of people, kids, you know, in the household. And what they're claiming and what they're not claiming. I'm gonna go ahead and motion that we move on.
Okay.
24, discussion and any necessary action to schedule August 25, 2026 for public hearing on the proposed tax rate, discussion tax rate, NNR and voter approval rate, de minimis rate, and take a record vote.
I'll make a motion to approve scheduling August 25th, 2026 for a public hearing on the proposed tax rate.
A motion has been made to approve scheduling August 25th, 2026 for a public hearing on the tax rate. Ask the city secretary to please call the roll.
When I call your name, just say yay or nay. Mayor Trammell,
Yay.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yay.
Commissioner Rose,
Yay.
Commissioner Fernandez.
Yay.
And Mayor Pro Tem Huntington.
Yay.
Thank you.
25, discussion and any necessary action regarding the public hearing to consider fiscal year 2026-2027 proposed budget on September 1st, 2026.
So this is just calling that public hearing to just consider the proposed budget on September 1st.
I move to approve setting a public hearing to consider the fiscal year 2026 through 2027 proposed budget on September 1st, 2026.
Second.
All in favor? This time we're going to convene to get the executive session at 7:51. Pursuant to Texas Government Code, I noted chapter 551, subchapter D, Texas Open Meetings Act. City Commission will recess into executive session. Closed meeting to discuss the following: real property 551.072, deliberate of the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. 26 YMCA. 27 102 West Elm. 28 1305 West First. 29 601 North Harvey.
Okay.
Reconvene in open session at 8:09 PM. Commissioners, were there any action taken?
I move to approve resolution number 2026-23, authorizing the donation of real property located at 300 East Walker to the Stevens Memorial Hospital District. That's read all of them at one time.
No, just one.
Okay. Second.
All in favor?
I make a motion to rescind the city commission's action of July 7, 2026, awarding the bid for 1305 West First to Bob Edelman due to inaccuracies in the bid summary presented to the commission. Second.
All in favor?
I make a motion to approve Kenneth Boyd's bid for the property located at 1305 West First and authorize the city manager to finalize and sign all documents necessary to finalize the sale of the property. Second.
All in favor?
I make a motion to rescind the city commission's action of July 7, 2026, awarding the bid for 601 North Harvey to Jeffrey Skidmore due to inaccuracies in the bid summary presented to the commission.
All in favor?
And I make a motion to approve Bob Edelman's bid for the property located at 601 North Harvey and authorize the city manager to finalize and sign all documents necessary to finalize the sale of the property.
All in favor? requests from commissioners, from commission members, staff for items to be placed on next meeting agenda. We'll adjourn meeting at 8:11.
Did you do anything with YMCA? I'm sorry, I didn't, was there any action on YMCA?
The first resolution.
Uh,
The 300 West Walker, the donation of real property located 300 East Walker.
what if you said YMCA